What is up, Raz Manites? That's right. The surprise has been revealed. It's time for the Logitech C920 review. Today, on the Raz Man's Reality. That's right, thanks to my first payment for Handi Enterprises Inc., your productivity and communication specialist, and the help of my friend Stoutman, who used his Amazon Prime account and the money that he was paying everyone for Geeky.com for $64.99 US. I was able to pick up the newest Logitech model, the upgrade from the previous version I was using, the C920. The differences should be obvious to you already, but of course we're going to go over them in depth. If for some reason it wasn't obvious just by me talking, we're going to illustrate the first one by me being able to do this. Check that out. Normal motion blur. How is that possible? Because we're back in the recommended for video 29.97 frames per second, aka, as most people put it, 30 frames per second. That's right, this is the only webcam on the market that lets you do full 1080p video in full 30 frames per second, despite what some other cameras say. So, the days of capture glitches are a thing of the past. The thing I did notice, though, that was immediately different about this model that I wasn't expecting is that, at least for me, I'm having to leave anti-flicker turned on rather than off like I was last time, because this is actually my second attempt at filming this review, because the last attempt had a ton of flickering in it. So hopefully turning on anti-flicker at NTSC 60 Hz, as it's done for the couple of raw footages that I tried before starting to film this, will succeed that problem. So anyway, full 30 frames per second at 1080p video, that's huge. The other huge thing, encoding is done right inside the camera, which means that I can do full 1080p video and save it instantly. This is a big plus because with the C910 it actually rendered out the raw footage, compressed it to WMV file, which all video files know is horrible compression to begin with. And the fact that you had to render twice, it just kept you from being able to make videos the way you wanted to. Now, that's no longer the case, thanks to the internal encoding of the C920. What does the C920 use for its internal encoding? Well, as you may have already noticed from the vividness and color and the much better overall natural look of things, it uses the coding H.264, which is a version of AVC, which comes out on video to MP4, which is the same codec that a lot of Blu-rays use. So you can't get much better than that. The catch, you ask, and yes, there is a catch, but it's a minute one. The catch is that it's AVC 1, which means that in order to use this with most editors, you need to run the footage through QuickTime Pro and do nothing to the overall video quality of the video, but by doing that, you're changing the header information so the editors can read that. I learned that from my friend and pal, Sean McLean, Zarin Isaac, and he also taught me something last night that I learned the hard way when I was first filming the first attempt at this review, and that is to make sure that when you do it, you save as and name your file something different than what your original raw footage is. The way that I do raw footage, and the way I'm sure most of all of you do raw footage is you label it so you know what it is. So I was using the same name and actually quote unquote converting the file, and that was taking forever. What you actually need to do is save it as a different name, and that will be instantaneous, mere second transfers, because as I said, all you're doing is changing the header information. And if you don't believe me that the colors are that much more vibrant and better, yesterday in the first attempt I did 2 quick shots with the old C910 before this one was delivered, so let's take a look at them side by side. C910. Now we're back at the C920. C910. We're back at the C920. So there you see it. Proof is in the pudding. Much, much better color-wise for the C920. Does the camera have any other minor drawbacks? It only has 2 more. The first is that the white balance doesn't seem to be as good with this camera. I've had to manually fiddle with it. The C910 did it right inside the right light feature that comes with the Logitech software. For this updated model, they made the white balance a separate toggle. So I'm finding that when that's set to auto, it really doesn't do its job. I have to manually toggle it in order to get it to look right. But that just might be me and the tone of my skin, I don't know. So that's minor quibble number 2 for me. And minor quibble number 3 is very, very minor indeed. And that is that the onboard mic just isn't as good with this camera as it was in the C910. I don't see this as much of a problem because most everybody uses external mics nowadays. But just very quickly, let me show you, or let you hear rather, what it sounds like on the onboard mic and talk a little bit more about a feature in the Logitech software called Right Sound. Okay, so here we are with the onboard microphone. As you can no doubt agree by hearing it, not nearly as good as it was on the C910, a lot more peaking and just crackly sound. Still a very decent external microphone, but just to me reinforces the need for one. But since we're here on the external mic and we can mess with the audio in the middle of a recording, I wanted to talk about a feature that was harder to talk about when using the external microphone, and that is a feature called Right Sound. Zeranizer talked about this feature in his review and said that it was a new feature. Now, it might be a new feature in Canada, but for us here in the US, I know from experience now that this is my 3rd Logitech camera, because I also had the Pro 9000, 2 cameras before the C910. The middle camera, of course, was the Flip Ultra HD, but I've now had the Pro 9000, the C910, and the C920, so I've had the last 3 high-end models of Logitech, and the Right Sound feature has always been there, but it just has never been a feature worth using. Basically what it's meant to do is create noise canceling so that you don't pick up background noise from your external microphones, but it just makes the audio sound very, very washed out. Let me let you listen. Okay, so here we are with the Right Sound on. As you can no doubt agree, not a very good feature at all. It takes a bad microphone and makes it sound worse. And just to prove it, here we are again with it off. So yeah, as bad as the mic is, It sounds better now with it off, so I would not recommend using right sound at all. So yeah, there you go. Even with right sound on, the mic sounded even more terrible than it already did to begin with. So right sound is not my favorite feature, and like I said, whether or not it's new or not may have to do with where you're from, but it's not a feature that I recommend using. But that's really the only things that I can say negative about this camera. Again, full 1080p at the recommended 29.97 frame rate, and beautiful coding. There's just nothing bad I can say about it. And the other two major pluses that I didn't even talk about, one, you can Skype in full 1080p as long as you have the latest version of Skype and are using a compatible operating system. This camera works with Windows and Linux and may work with older versions of Mac that's not OS 10 or higher, or may just work with Mac overall now. There was some conflicting reports, so I wasn't able to exactly figure that out. So if you own a Mac, you'll just have to do the research for yourself. I apologize about that. But yeah, I mean, for what this is, it's amazing. And then the last plus that I didn't even get a chance to get into yet, that I wanted to save for last for a reason, this is also the only webcam on the market that has a tripod mount. That's right, this baby is fully tripod mountable, so if I ever want to break out the mini tripod again, which I will be doing now so that I can review books, because that's something that I couldn't do before with the C910 and its low frame rate and capture glitching problems, is that I couldn't really turn pages in a book because the image would get all blurry. Now I can. So I'm going to bring book reviews and comic book reviews to the Raz Man's reality in the long run, so you can look forward to that. So yeah, fully tripod mountable, full 1080p and instantaneous video, just the best camera on the market. The only drawback, of course, is that it's only a 6-foot cable, and even with an extender you can still only stay inside because it has to be hooked up to your computer in some way, shape, or form. So that's really the only improvement that Logitech could make, other than fixing its stereo issues with the Blue Yeti microphone that I know it has. It only allows people who use the Blue Yeti to record stereo to record stereo by recording the audio separately. Natively, it only records it in mono. So other than the issue there with the Yeti microphone, that's really the only improvement that Logitech could make to this camera, other than having it double as both a web camera and a camcorder. If they could somehow create an all-in-one system, that would be everybody's dream come true. So I'm looking forward to maybe someday them being able to do that. But bottom line is, if you're just looking for something great to do videos on indoors, this is the camera for you. You can find it between 70 and 80 online. Amazon's currently listed at $74.99. There's an eBay seller whose name escapes me, so it'll be an overlay right now, that has it for $72.99. So you're saving a little bit of money, and they use priority mail shipping, so it'll be about the same as Amazon Prime. And if you're going to pay full retail, that I guess is the only other minor drawback that I didn't talk about, is that it's going to cost you $100 if you pay retail, but really who goes to brick and mortar stores anymore for electronics? So I don't think that'll be an issue, but if it's something you prefer doing, it was something worth me saying in the review. So yeah, before I give my final thoughts, the only thing really to do is to show you what the unit looks like. Now, obviously in my situation, I can't really do that in a practical manner because I can't have both versions of the camera hooked up at the same time. So, in order to do that, I'm going to borrow footage once again from my great friend Sean Zaranizrak, where he used the C910 to show off the C920. So, thank you, Sean, for your permission to utilize your footage, and here it is.
Okay, so this is a USB 2 camera. I actually have a USB 2 extension cord. At first I thought it was going to be USB 3, and if you look at the back of the box, you'll see that it does say USB 3 ready. All that means is it'll work if you plug it into a USB 3 port. You know, like all USB 2 devices do. That's just a bit of deceptive marketing. Shame on your marketing department, Logitech. So here we go. This is the Logitech C910. Or C920. It's easy to get those mixed. There we go. Oh, beautiful. So you got the Carl Zeiss lens, HD 1080p. Got the stereo mics. Let me show you what I was talking about here. This is the tripod, or the. I guess I can take that piece of. Yeah, I can take that piece of plastic off there. Anyway. So this is the, sorry, just got all this crap on there. There we go. Okay, so this is the monitor mount. You notice it's got a nice little lip there to hook over the monitor. And then this is actually quite nicely adjustable. So you can set it on top of your monitor, and it's got little rubber feet here. It's very similar to the way the, well, I showed you the C910. It's very similar to the way that's designed, but different. The big difference, of course, being it has, let me just take my clip off here. The big difference being it has a screw hole for a tripod mount. That is something that the C910 did not have, and I'm so happy that it does, because now I can actually, because of the way it's positioned, put that back on. I love this clip. This is so terrific. I mean, basically, for years now I've been using this, and I just leave the clip on whatever camera I most commonly use, so I can just grab it and clip it into the tripod. So then, if I want a tripod mounted, basically you just close up the mechanism there, and there you go. It's totally tripod mountable. And then you also have, you know, it swivels. The C910 actually swivels a lot more. It has more maneuverability in that regard. But that's okay, because this is a tripod mountable camera now. Any adjustments that I can't get with the built-in swivel, I can get with the tripod. So it just makes it that much easier.
Bottom line, my final thoughts, best web camera on the market. So happy to have this. Best $64.99 that I ever spent. I would have easily spent $9 or $10 more if I had to pick this one up. I don't see a need, because of my situation, to honestly ever have to upgrade this camera again. As for what's next, well, the shirt should be a dead giveaway. That's right, I finally saw The Dark Knight Rises, so that will be your review next time. Make sure, like I've said in the last couple of videos, if you haven't subscribed and aren't following and up to date with everything with my company, Handi Enterprises, all the links will be down below in the description box. Please support my work, because it's really important for me to have all of you that supported me here on YouTube be able to see the work that I'm doing directly help people. This is reality according to the Raz Man, and Raz Man style. It's not just a catchphrase, but a way of life.